Welcome to Moms of the Lou podcast, hosted by and recorded for St. Louis moms. Grab your laundry basket, kick your feet up for nap time, or head out the door for pickup and spend a little time catching up with your favorite St. Louis moms. Hosted by a fellow St. Louis mom, Rebecca Coast, let's dive into our discussion today. This episode of Moms of the Lou was brought to you by Chelsea Huff Design. Okay, well, welcome back to Moms of the Lou. We've been on a little bit of a break for spring break and scheduling and all the things, but we're so excited to be back with a few new episodes for you. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by a St. Louis mom that I'm pretty sure you are going to recognize, and I'm sure you're going to be excited to hear from her today. So today, we're joined by Sara of Midwest Nomad family. On Instagram, on Facebook, on the web, on all the places. So welcome, Sara.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, we're so excited to chat with you. So you are a St. Louis mom. Are you a transplant? Are you born and raised here? What's your story?
So I was actually born in Springfield, Missouri, and we lived on a farm in a very rural area. In the middle of nowhere until I was 10. And then we moved to the St. Louis area, and I have been here ever since.
That's awesome. And what launched you into this world of content creation, exploring, Missouri, the Midwest? How did you get to this point?
So when I was a kid, even though I was outdoors on a farm, we didn't really hike or travel. So once my husband and I got married, we really got into like hiking and traveling, especially hiking because, as newlyweds, we had no money. So that was something we really got involved in. And I got into photography, and we would start taking all these trips and hikes. And it actually kind of started with my husband. He decided to start a blog and a website to document all of our travels. He kind of made it like a trip diary. So he would show like what we did each day and different hikes we did. And I was totally uninterested at first. I was like, I don't have time for this.
I love this. I love that it's the dad that did this.
Right?
Like, this
right?
is such a great story. Okay, keep going.
The person who avoid social media as much as he can. He
Right.
was the one that started it. And so then whenever we had kids, which we were married almost 10 years before we had kids, we decided to just take them along on all of our travels and our hikes. My son actually screamed and cried all day long, like his first year of life, like literally all day long.
Yes.
So that was really hard. And one thing that did calm him some was being outside. So hiking or just pushing the stroller along. So we really got into discovering even more like local hikes and trails, and I'd strap on the baby carrier and, hit the trails. And then when my daughter came along 2 years later, we just got another baby carrier. And so we had, his and hers hiking backpack carriers and would just take our kids all over. And I would post these pictures on my own social media page, and people would always ask me, like, where is that? Where did you go? Did you like go to Colorado or something? I'm like, no, it's just this park like an hour away. And people had no idea this stuff was here. And so I would get asked all the time, like, oh, we have a day off. Where should we go hike? Or where should we take like a day trip? And I was like, okay, people obviously want this information. How can I help share it to others? Because I also struggled with finding the information. Like, oh, we wanted to go explore a park, and a lot of the hiking apps don't give you all the information. Like, are there restrooms? What kind of restrooms are there? Like, because if you have a potty training child, they're not going to want to use a dirty porta potty.
Yes. And stuff moms want to know.
Right.
Need to know.
We need to know, like, what are the park hours, which you think is something easy to find, and it is not. Is this trail suitable for kids? Are there, cliff edges or, dangerous conditions? And so I really wanted to find that information and document it and put it out there for others who wanted to explore. And it just kind of took off from there, especially during COVID when people were trying to find things to do outside. It really exploded from there. And, I was like, I need to put this on social media. So I started doing the Instagram and I started doing the Facebook page. Yeah. And I took over the blog from my husband. He has nothing to do with it anymore. So
funny.
all the posts are mine now. But he does help out. He does my drone video. He's my drone pilot so that I can concentrate on like taking pictures. So we do work together as a family now, traveling around, doing a lot of local content. We work with a lot of tourism boards. Yeah. We work with a lot of like cabins and resorts to capture content for them. Yeah. So it's become this whole family business. And I love just being able to share those places that people don't know about. You know, you don't have to take an expensive vacation to find a great adventure.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I've learned from your page is how much there is in Missouri that we just, I mean, just natural beauty that, you think, oh, this could be in Colorado or Arizona or, but it's here. And I think that's pretty amazing. So would you call yourself an outdoorsy person?
So I am not a person that likes to camp.
Okay.
I am a person that loves to hike. I love to hike.
Okay.
I love to take pictures. But I need like a real bed and indoor plumbing.
Yes.
So, people ask me a lot of times, do you have a good place to camp? I'm like, well, I can tell you from the places we've hiked at, but I am not a camping mom, but I am, so I guess I'm sort of halfway outdoorsy. And I like to kind of encourage people, like, you don't have to do it all. If you just want to take a walk at the park or you just want to find a great playground, find what works for your family.
Totally. I'm of the same mind. I think I always tell my husband, I like to admire the outdoors from the indoors. Like I like the running water. I like a real bed. I like to be in air conditioning if possible, when it's really hot. But I love that you offer so many different ideas, for different, different levels of comfort, things like that. So.
Yeah, and I like to, incorporate different ages because we started this when my kids, were babies and now they're, upper elementary school. So I like to find things that will work, no matter what ages of kids you have or even adults. I have a lot of people that don't have kids at all that'll be like, oh, yeah, you're the only like family travel page I follow because you share things that aren't just for kids.
Yeah. Yep. So where we were chatting off air, your kids are getting a little bit older. You're kind of heading into those middle years. So where do you like to take your kids in St. Louis? Let's go indoor first. Give me a couple indoor spots.
Okay. The City Museum is one they always ask to go to all the time. I mean, that's a big hit with kids and adults.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of our more popular spots. Now that my kids are getting a little older, they're getting more into like the museums, like the History Museum is a great spot. And I love that there's so much that's free. So it's always great to do the free things when we can. But those are two big places. They still like the Magic House, even though they're getting older, and Magic House Made.
Yes. That's such a great spot.
It is. And it with that focus on like the STEM activities that they're really great for that age. The Science Center is also another one that they really enjoy. My daughter just had a field trip there recently. So that was a lot of fun to see all the kids, learning and playing.
Yeah. That's great. I feel like we're a broken record around here when we talk about free things. I mean, it's just, and you probably know this, you've traveled so much. If you go to any other city, there's just nothing like St. Louis in terms of free activities for families.
It's really sticker shock every time we go somewhere like, oh, I want to go to the zoo and it's going to cost how much?
Right. Totally. Okay, so let's go outdoors and let's go local to St. Louis. Okay, so like St. Louis metropolitan region. Where do you guys like to go outside?
Well, I think a really great place for all ages is Powder Valley because you've got, easy trails. You have that nature center. So if you need another indoor activity, I mean, that's a place my kids never get tired of. We like, if you want like a real hike with great views, Castlewood is a great one. It's a little bit tougher, climbing up on the bluff, but the views are so great. Yep. We also like Rockwoods Reservation is a really great one too. There's a lot of them in like the Wildwood area. There's a lot of great trails and parks out that way. If you go a little bit further south, you can find some really beautiful scenic hikes. Pickle Springs is a great one for kids because there's so much to do. Yep. If you go even further, you've got like Elephant Rocks and Johnson Shut-ins. Yep. We try to find the parks that have like rocks or water, something that keeps kids occupied. Yeah. Those are always popular big hits.
Okay, let's hear from one of our community partners and our episode sponsor, Chelsea Huff Design. As St. Louis mom, we know how important it is to make life's biggest moments extra special. Whether you're planning a wedding, baby shower, birthday, or any celebration, Chelsea Huff Design has you covered with stunning invitations and signage. From elegant wedding suites to custom event details, Chelsea creates beautifully custom printed designs that bring your vision to life without the stress. Plus, as a St. Louis mom listener, enjoy 10% off your order with code STLMOMS at checkout. Visit chelseahuffdesign.com today. Chelsea Huff Design, where every detail tells your story. Yep. What about parks? Any parks that you like, that you feel like you return to?
I mean, Forest Park is always a popular one. I feel like we keep finding places in there we didn't know about. There's a lot of neat boardwalks. There's so many water features. You've got a couple of great playgrounds, the Forest Park Playscape, and then you also have the Variety Playground next to the Visitor Center.
Yeah.
So we always go back there a lot. Let's see. Tower Grove is another nice one. I like that one in the spring because of all the beautiful flowers are there and all the ruins. My kids like to climb over those.
Yeah.
Let's see. Queenie Park is another great one. There's some great hikes there. I'm excited to see the new playground whenever they complete that.
Yes. Oh, we're anxiously awaiting that. Very cool. Okay, I'm going to pivot a little bit. What about a date night? If you guys get to go out on a date night. I know this is not related to the outdoors, but do you have a place you like to go? Place you've been wanting to try? Anything like that?
Pieces is a fun one. We love to play board games, so that's a big one, and that's one we like to go to with friends a lot too.
That's in downtown, right?
Yeah, they just moved to a new location. They're kind of in the Soulard area.
Okay.
They just moved to a bigger location. We have not been to their new location yet, but we have a date with friends coming up next month, I believe, that we're going to check that out.
Oh, that's a great idea. Pieces. Okay, put it on your list, guys.
My husband and I also have a thing where we try to find like a new lunch spot to try in St. Louis every month. So we've been trying different ones. I actually posted something on Threads about asking for suggestions, and I got a really good response. So now I have a list of places to try.
That's awesome. That's great. So what's like the next one you want to try?
I think Max Local Eats. I can't believe we haven't been there yet. It's been on my list for a long time, and I think that's going to be our next one.
That's a great one to like couple with the zoo, a trip to the zoo. And yeah, they have a really fun kids area too. And
we also like to walk around the botanical gardens sometimes too as a date. And that's also one of my kids' favorite places in St. Louis, the Children's Garden.
Yes.
That place is incredible.
Yeah. Amazing. Such a gift to us. Okay, so I want to talk about your platform. So you talked a little bit about how you got started. So how have you seen kind of the landscape change a little bit of the work that you're doing, first of all? How, I'm sure it's evolved quite a bit in 10 years. So what are some of the biggest things you've seen?
The biggest thing on Instagram is just the change from photos to reels, because I'm definitely more into photography than videos. So that was a huge pivot to try to go to changing from doing photos to reels, although I guess now they're trying to maybe balance it out a little bit more. And it definitely makes it much more time consuming than just posting photos. So that's probably the biggest pivot. I also noticed just people are looking a lot for like storytelling. They want a video that tells a story to like walk you through the entire experience. I just posted one recently for Roaring River State Park in Missouri. And so I kind of tried to explain like, these are all the activities and try to walk people through what they would experience if they visit there. Yeah. So I feel like storytelling is kind of becoming a bigger thing.
Yeah. How do you feel about that though? Like, are you on board with that? Or do you feel like, I wish I could just kind of like post the picture and the video and encourage people to go experience it, and see what's going to happen?
A lot of social media is kind of tough for me because I love sharing all these places for people to experience. And I love when people tell me like, oh, I didn't know about that place and we went there and it was so fun. But I am a total introvert. So, I don't even show my face on camera all that much. So it is, a little tougher. Like, okay, maybe I should be talking in this video. Maybe I need to show myself more. Yeah. So that part is a little bit more of a struggle for me that I've been trying to get into a little bit more. Yeah. And I work with tourism boards, and a lot of times they want to see more people in the things. So yeah, that's definitely something I've been trying to explore more.
Yeah. But I don't think you're alone in that. Maybe not struggle, but I don't think you're alone in that. I feel like this trend I've seen is like sharing more of your life and more of your story. And, for folks who might be more introverted or more like protective, right, of their lives, it can be, oh, well, how do you find that balance, of what you share and what you keep for yourself, It
is a little easier to hide behind a screen, but then when you have to get in front of the screen, it can be a little tougher.
Yes. Okay. So you have a presence on Instagram, on Facebook. You have a website. What else have you got going on? Is that the main gist of?
That's the main gist of it. My husband does have a YouTube channel where he posts some of more like the drone videos, probably especially, but that pretty much encompasses it. I'm not on TikTok.
So not either. Where do you spend the bulk of your time when you're working on your business? Would you say that you spend it more on social media, more on the web, more on partnership development? Where do you spend most of your time?
Probably social media and just editing videos is the biggest thing that I do right now. I do have to spend a lot of time, coordinating through email or phone with, different businesses and tourism bureaus. So that does take up a lot of time, and just overall, it's been a learning experience of owning my own business. So all of the things that go along with that, it's definitely a lot to keep track of. This year I'm trying to get a little bit more onto my blog because I feel like it was a little neglected the past couple of years. I used to write a post every single week, and which was a lot, but I'm trying to get a little more consistent. And I also have been going back and updating some of my posts, like trail posts, if we went to hike it again, just to update if there's anything different, because sometimes trails change or operating hours change, things like that.
Yeah. Love that. What do you love the most about your job, about the work that you do?
Just being able to travel more. It's definitely, we've been able to travel a lot more than we would have, normally, just paying for everything ourselves, like being able to partner with tourism bureaus and get to see new places. We have a goal to get to all 50 states with our kids. And we've been to over 30 so far.
Wow.
So we're getting there, and we have a bunch more scheduled for this year. So that's kind of been an exciting thing.
That's awesome. What about advice that you might have for a mom who wants to get outside a little bit more with her kids, or maybe wants to do more outings, but feels maybe like you were when you started this, like maybe has a kid who screams all the time? What advice would you have for that mom?
I think you can just start small. Don't be overwhelmed and think you need all this expensive gear, or that you need to, plan some elaborate outing.
Yeah.
Just find a local park near your house, and just get out there. All you need are, you want some good shoes for your kids. They don't have to be fancy hiking shoes.
Yeah.
Please no flip-flops.
Yeah.
Just a bottle of water, some snacks, and some shoes for the kids, and just find, an easy trail. It can be a paved trail. Now that my kids are a little older, we don't necessarily have to have a playground every time.
Yeah.
But that was our big thing. We would find a trail with a playground, or maybe an ice cream shop. So something to be like, okay, we're going to go walk on this trail, and then we can play on the playground afterward. And it really helped to get the kids motivated.
Love that.
So I would just say start small and find somewhere close, somewhere you feel safe if you're going by yourself. I suggested Powder Valley. That's a really nice place because the trails are paved and there's restrooms and the nature center. I would just start small, and then you can work your way up to something bigger if you want to keep going.
Yeah, something small and maybe an easy escape if you need to get out.
And the good thing about being outside with your kids, it really does wear them out. So, exploring in the morning, you get those really good afternoon nap times.
Yes, absolutely. So what's something that you have coming up this year that you're excited about, whether a partnership or a trip, or that you're excited about?
We have a couple partnerships. I've been trying this year. I would like to do a little more exploring, like smaller towns and attractions that maybe not necessarily be a partnership, because a lot of these smaller places don't have, budgets for influencers or anything like that. But just to share like more of the hidden gems in the small towns that people don't know are there, and to share a little more information about that. We do have some partnerships with some other areas in Missouri. There's another state that borders Missouri that we'll be working with the state parks there. So I'm excited to travel there and share about those parks, because they would be an easy weekend trip for people in Missouri.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so how can, if moms are not already connected with you, how can they find you and get connected?
So we're on Instagram and Facebook under Midwest Nomad Family. Okay. And then we also have our blog, which is MidwestNomads with an S at the end.com. They have a little bit different name because my husband started the blog at MidwestNomads.com, and that was already taken when I created the Instagram. So
what can you do?
So Midwest Nomad Family we became.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Sara, for joining us today, and thanks for all that you do, the beautiful work that you do, photos, video. It's really inspiring. So
thank you so much for having me. And I definitely love it if people send me questions on Instagram or Facebook, if they're looking for a particular park, or, because I could go on and on about the great parks in our area,
Absolutely.
Because we have so many amazing parks and playgrounds, and there's so many new ones under construction right now. So I feel like that's something I could go on and on. Like when you asked the question, I feel like I drew a blank, even though I know there's so many great parks.
I know.
I'm like everywhere.
Yes, everywhere. All of them. Check
yes. Yeah. So I love when people ask me questions because then I can give them like specific details or I can reference them to a post I've already written.
Love that.
And I love hearing feedback when people do explore a place they didn't know about until I posted about it.
Love that. Okay. So you heard her. Her DMs are open.
They are.
All right. Thank you so much, Sara.
Thank you.
All right, St. Louis moms, that'll do it. We will catch you on our next episode of Moms of the Lou. This episode of Moms of the Lou was brought to you by Chelsea Huff Design. Thanks for listening to Moms of the Lou. We hope it encouraged you and put a pep in your step and helped you get to know our community a little bit better. Be sure to find us on Instagram, @StLouis_mom. You can find us on Facebook, St. Louis Mom. You can find us on our website, www.stlouismom.com. In case nobody else tells you today, you're a great mom and you're doing a great job. Chat with you next time.